Alright. It's good to finally be behind a camera again. And even after COVID, still won't make my bed. Hello everybody, NitPicker1 here, complaining about issues great and small for your entertainment. And today we're going to be talking about Crash Bandicoot 4 for the PlayStation 4. The long-awaited return to form that we've been waiting for ever since the PlayStation 1 days of Crash Bandicoot.
Crash has always had it rough. Starting with his first game in September 1996. Developed by Naughty Dog, published by Universal Pictures and Sony Interactive respectively, or should I say, not respectively, in Universal's case. They were the ones that owned the IP and saw over Naughty Dog's developments, and they were, shall we say, completely shit about it. They were only concerned with making games to sell and not too worried about the quality, or more importantly, how they treat their employees. So after Naughty Dog's 3-game deal, they developed a racing game under Sony and not Universal, then got the hell out of there. PlayStation 2 rolls around with Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex with only Universal, which meant they had total control over the game and caused a big factor in its development. And problems occurred, with plenty of crunch to be expected. And believe me, not as bad as what happened with Spyro 4, but we'll get to that another day. Then both Crash and Spyro were sold off to other publishers. And you would think that Sony Interactive would have bought them, but no. For some reason, they didn't go anywhere near these two, which you think they would because Crash especially is said to be the mascot of PlayStation. But no. Crash got handed dev to dev until falling into the hands of Activision. Then finally, it happened. Crash was on the show floor at E3 2016, being revealed that Sony and Activision were partnering up to make complete remakes of Crash 1, 2, and 3, and then Crash got revealed in Skylanders as a playable figure. And then finally at E3 2017, we saw the reveal trailer for Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy and was released summer 2017. A huge year for gaming, and yet people were still talking about it. Crash was finally back. What could be next? Well, next was a Crash Team Racing remake, which turned into And now finally, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, revealed during the Summer of Gaming event in 2020. A return to the roots of Crash Bandicoot. Back to the platforming, the box hunting, the gem rewarding, and the ending that you'll never get to see, and in the PlayStation 4's case, the Platinum Trophy, you'll especially never get to see. It was taking on a fully retooled art style, new character models, and animations akin to a Warner Brothers cartoon, which is what Crash was inspired on initially. Now, I was getting a little triggered when I first saw this, that they weren't sticking to the N. Sane Trilogy's art direction, but then I kind of thought about it a little more and realized that Crash N. Sane style is more akin to the PS1 originals, just higher poly and looking more beautiful. If you were to compare screenshots between the PlayStation 1 version and the PlayStation 4 version, you can tell that the graphics do take on basically the same art style, just with higher character models and environments. But for the sequel, Crash Bandicoot 4, I guess it is safe to assume that they would be switching that style to give it its own identity, which after more thought, yeah, I want that. It doesn't help that the art style and animation feels way more inspired. Again, I must stress, I do somewhat prefer N. Sane's art style and direction, but for the sequel, if they had done the same thing again and didn't take on this cartoon art style, it wouldn't have felt like a new experience. So I'm actually pretty happy with the new art direction. And we would get to see more of that art direction when Crash Bandicoot 4's slated release was October 2nd, 2020. And if you pre-ordered from GameStop, you got this cute little minute timer. It's built well and even has all the masks on the side, and it even functions as a minute timer. I really like this because I like extra bonuses you get with games to actually have purposes besides, you know, being a bonus. Not that we'll ever use this thing as an actual minute timer, but hey, it's cool to have nonetheless. Alright, enough of that cute little extra. Let's talk about the game, and we're gonna start with the narrative. However, I will be giving a timestamp to where you can skip if you want to, because, you know, spoilers, you don't want to get spoiled, do you? But I do want to stress this also. I will be only doing a basic synopsis, because this game has legitimately funny moments and gags that made me laugh out loud while playing, so I will not be spoiling those because I feel you guys should see it in game or even just watching the cutscenes on YouTube.
At last, I, the great Neocortex, have you right where I want you. And now, the final blow!
Oh. However, of course, you should just buy the game and see them that way. We got a lot to cover, so let's nitpick Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time on PlayStation 4. So here's the interesting bit. Crash Bandicoot 4's narrative is a direct sequel to Crash Bandicoot 3 with Entropy and Cortex in their time dungeon, taking place a decade after, which honestly is pretty cool, I find. And you know, anything's better than starting with
Can't you idiots do anything right? According to this, your track record for spreading evil is pathetic. Ooka Ooka, it's not our fault that Richard Bandicoot
Uka Uka manages to uncover a dimensional portal and then dies? Maybe? He never shows up at all later in the game, but he could come back to life in another ending because I couldn't get to one. And we'll discuss that later. Cortex and Entropy escape and are hell-bent to taking over the entire universe and all dimensions. So it's up to Crash to... So as we go to Insanity Peak, we find a mask named Lonnie Lowly, and then we... Wait, hold on a second. And then we meet back with Coco. Oh, I see you found your laptop battery. I'm here finding better things now. We find out that Lonnie Lowly is part of a 4-man band, the Quantum Masks. So in order to fix the dimensions, we have to find and save the mask to stop Sub Putz with a big plan and even bigger ego. I don't know. I don't know why. I just find that funny. Along the way, we run into some familiar faces like Dr. Engine and Embryo, with Engine getting the best boss fight in the Crash franchise in my opinion. I ain't gonna lie, when he said, "My beautiful creation," I'll admit, I felt a little bad too. We also get the returning Tana. Well, from another dimension. And she's got a pretty cool design, but it just doesn't look like Tana to me in my opinion. It's a cool design on its own, but even for another dimension design of her, I don't know. Just doesn't really look like her, you know? I mean, in the Phineas and Ferb Across Second Dimension movie, Phineas's mom doesn't turn into Danny Phantom's mom. Wait, hold on, why did I put that in my head?
If you need me, I'll be hiding in the basement.
Anyway, it's not bad, just in my opinion, not all that Tana. But she's cool either way. She even has a full backstory, something to have to do with Crash and Coco dying, apparently.
What did we, like, die or something? What? No! Nope. No, definitely not. So how are things in your dimension?
She's also fully playable, which is pretty cool, but I'll get to that later. We find the next mask, Akano, which is a few words, slow moving, you know, that guy.
Short and to the point. Love this guy.
We then fight Embryo, and Coco is scarred for life. Look at her, and Crash is just loving it. See, these are the funny moments I'm talking about.
Let's get out of here.
Next, we meet up with Dingo Diner, which has retired from a life of villainy and opened a diner. Now, admittedly, when we first saw this in the PlayStation State of Play, I honestly thought Dingo made an honest living serving great food, putting hours, make the tastiest dishes the world has ever seen.
Food served at Dingos Diner may not meet the legal definition of food. Consume at your own risk.
Yeah, I love you. But of course, the bad guys destroy Dingo's Diner for some reason, and then he gets sucked into this dimensional travel. We then find the Time Mask, Kapunova, who I just love for the name alone. They kind of play her as like a parody sidekick, and I love it. Probably my favorite mask of the bunch, honestly. We then fight and defeat Cortex up at a blip, and find out that Entropy was working behind Cortex's back the whole time with the mysterious partner. So Cortex joins forces with us, and it will be for the rest of the game, I'm sure. We then find Ika Ika, which one side is me as fuck.
When Warland's existence ever done anything for anyone anyway?
Oh, don't mind Grumpy Gus. He's always a downer.
Yeah, don't mind me. I don't matter. Nothing matters.
And then make our way to Entropy's Rift Generator. And we get to see Nitrous Oxide. Alright, this was pretty cool and unexpected. I figured Activision would keep making Crash racing games after how well Team Racing did, so I figured Oxide would pretty much stay there, but no, there he is. I love Oxide as a character, so seeing him here, though brief, is really cool, honestly. We make our way to the Rift Generator and decide to take Oxide's vehicle, but Tana winds up tying us up and going herself. I swear, does every dimensional storyline have to require restraining other dimensional people? Of course, Tana fails because she doesn't have the magic of friendship deep inside. All the characters then get separated, and Crash and Coco make their way back to the generator and stop Entropy. And since the mask needs some time to rest, Kapunova decides to take us to a future city. Your typical flying cars and lights bullshit. After some sightseeing with both Dingodile, Tana, and Cortex, Cortex then decides that the way to break the endless cycle of Crash and him fighting is to fix his greatest mistake.
He means you, Crash.
But after trying to reason with past Cortex to destroy past Crash, which you can hilariously hear them rambling through the stage, by the way.
Why did you? I have to choose a Bandicoot. If I just stuck with the Warland, this all would have been different. Damn Wombats. This Bandicoot is strong, clever, and above all, loyal. Do you have any idea how stubborn I used to be? Yes.
Cortex then decides it's all futile, so then seeks to destroy Crash, but of course fails, and Crash turns crazy anyway, and everything is back to normal. Wait, did we do a good thing? Because we ensured that someone just turned crazy. I don't know. Was that the right?
Now I know what you all are gonna ask. I can see it a mile away. Is there a gem ending to Crash Bandicoot 4? I have no fucking clue.
But before we get into that, you can hold your horses. We got to talk about the gameplay. Well, the gameplay is what you expect. It's no nonsense, back to its roots Crash Bandicoot. No weird Titans bullshit, just plain old Crash Bandicoot. You run, jump, and smash boxes and try to get as many as you can before your blood starts to boil, because oh yes, the boxes are hard as ever this time, and quite possibly harder than the classic games. I barely completed a Crash game though, so I can't really vouch for that. I'll have to ask a professional. Hey Kid Icarus! In addition to playing as Crash, you can also play the entire game as Coco. Every single stage that Crash can play, Coco can also. She's pretty much the exact same as Crash, so there isn't a bonus to playing as her, but it's a seriously cool bonus nonetheless.
Man, isn't that cool? Being able to play as two characters who are basically the same for every single stage, even ones that have cutscenes in them? Man, that's gotta be a luxury, doesn't it?
As well as Crash and Coco, there are 3 additional characters that are playable. Tana, who can use a grapple hook, because this game's good and all, to get through large gaps and break extra boxes. And I think it's faster than Crash and Coco, though that could be just me. And Dingodile, the slowest character, but is the best in every other way. He can use his vacuum to vacuum up boxes from far away. He has a huge tailspin and can even use his vacuum to hover for a few seconds. Just keep in mind, after hovering for a bit, he does jump after you let go of the X button, so when using a hover over limited ground, make sure not to have momentum going so you don't jump off a cliff on accident. And then the final playable character, Cortex, who is the fastest character in the game, I think, and can use his gun to turn enemies into platforms or bounce pads. He can also do a mid-air dash over large gaps because he can't double jump. Cortex, you are an evil genius scientist, yet you can't figure out the trajectory on which to double jump. Now, with all that out of the way, let's talk about the addition of the Quantum Mask. Not only do you have the returning Aku Aku, giving you an extra hit point during the stage, you have the Quantum Mask at Crash and Coco's disposal. While going through the stage, a mask will appear and you will have to use their ability to get through the stage's platforming challenge or break extra boxes. You don't switch to them on a whim though, and I thank God for that, because if you had complete control over them, the designers would have made boxes centered around that playstyle, and I just can't wrap my head around that. You have Lonnie Lowly, who can change certain platforms and level geometry. Akano is sort of like controlling a Ninjago spinner. Wait, you don't know what that is? Fine, then he controls like a Beyblade. You can move him freely. However, say you want to do a 360-degree turn, you kind of have to fight with the momentum, but you can also double jump. And if you get the momentum just right, you can do seriously long jumps. Kapunova can slow down time, which you can use to defeat enemies before they have the chance to attack you, or use them to jump over time platforming moments, or catch falling debris, which you can use as platforms, or, and of course, break the newly introduced time crates, which after hitting this button here, are set on a time limit and you have to break them before time is up. Ika Ika can flip gravity upside down and back right side up, and if you time it just right, you can actually use the mass to turn your gravity upside down and then fix it again to get over large obstacles. And the game expects you to do this, so start practicing your timing, believe me. Speaking of practicing your timing, let's get into the box hunting and gems, as I feel the boxes are way more important this time. Not only because of the 100% ending that I have not seen, so do not spoil it, but I feel you should go after the boxes either way because the level design is built around you trying to get the boxes. I don't know why you would, but if you feel as though you don't need to go after the boxes because you don't care or whatever, I would not go in with that mindset, as you breaking boxes in subtle ways are actually teaching you how to play the game, whether it's learning how to use the quantum mask or just getting around tough platforming challenges. Now, am I saying you have to 100% in order to play the game? No. In fact, in my run, I barely got any gems, but I was still learning how the game works and how to platform efficiently through the game's challenges. So I say, try to go for the boxes you see and you'll learn a lot. How do you get these gems, however? Well, in every stage, there are 6 gems for you to get. 3 require getting 40%, 60%, and 80% of the Wumpa Fruit in the stage. And of course, you also have the returning box gem, which, you know, you have to break every box in the stage. And also, there's a hidden gem, which you have to find by scaling the stage. And then you also have, as I like to call it, the death gem, because you have to go through the whole stage with a max of 3 deaths in order to get the gem. But I do feel as though there is a reason for casuals to go after the gems as well as longtime Crash fans. And that is, if you get the required amount of gems in the stage, you get to unlock skins for both Crash and Coco. Sadly none for Dingo, Cortex, or Tana, but that's fine, just a little letdown. But thankfully, you do not have to get all the gems in a stage to get said skin. And if it looks like it, well, you don't, because Crash 4 introduces the new types of stages. Inverted mode is basically a mirror mode that changes the look, the feel, and the speed of the stage, or all the above, changing up the styles to change up variety. But the important thing here is, there are gems in these stages as well. So let's say you need 7 gems to get this one skin. Well, let's say you played the regular stage and got all the Wumpa Fruit gems, well then you just gotta get 3 more gems in inverted mode. Simple. Along with gems, there are also flashback tapes. No, these aren't cutscenes, they are just little playable stages of Crash's early days of training for Cortex to be his general, which is really cool. I don't know if you get any true backstory or anything after getting them, because I only managed to get 1 in time for this review. Because in order to get these tapes, you have to go through the entire stage without dying in order to get them. But, thankfully, I don't think you have to finish the stage without dying. Once you get it, you got it, even if you die. Also returning are the time trials. You get this, after you've completed a stage, you can return to said stage and try to get through it as quick as you can to try and nab a relic. You can pause the timer for a few seconds by hitting boxes, and whatever number is on the box is the amount of seconds the timer is going to be paused. And believe me, these will get pretty hard. I personally probably won't go through them, but hey, just another thing to test your platforming skills.
And that does it for my nitpick of Crash Bandicoot 4. What I'm more questioning is, what's the future of Crash Bandicoot after this? Do we do the same thing that Crash Bandicoot 4 did? Do we introduce new playable characters? Because I feel that there will be a Crash Bandicoot 5, like no doubt, like there will be a Crash Bandicoot 5. But the question is, will it feel all samey? What can the devs do to make it feel different enough from this game to feel different, you know what I mean? Because I don't, like, obviously I don't want Crash to go back the same route he did, because that was the problem, was people were complaining that the platforming was too stale, that's the thing. But the question is, what can they really do to help change it? And I'm sure there's stuff that they can do, I'm sure of it. My question is just what? I'm very curious as to what will happen with Crash Bandicoot later down the line. But for now, if I were to guess, I feel like we might get another Crash Bandicoot racing game, like because Crash Team Racing did so well. I feel like we'll get another one of those. Please don't put microtransactions in them, or I swear to God. But I do feel as though that we're going to get another Crash racing game, probably in between Crash 4 and 5. But after, I'm just curious about what's going to happen with Crash Bandicoot 5, because, like I said, Crash Bandicoot 4 did so much. What can Crash Bandicoot 5 do to make it feel different, you know what I mean? Well, anyway, that's all for another time. And speaking for another time...
You! Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. How about you try being this creative, huh? You haven't had this good of a game since, what? I don't even know. You need to be better. Crash Bandicoot is back. Ratchet & Clank's getting a new game soon. It's your turn now, buddy. Better straighten things out, and you better have a good game, or I swear to God...